Have you ever been in a situation where you've ran so much, whether it's on a marathon or on a treadmill, and then you're just left completely breathless and you're just taking in all this air into your lungs, but it's just so painful with every breath that you try to inhale? Or have you ever been in a situation where you are about to give a big presentation in front of all your bosses, or worse still, knowing that your family members are in the audience? And you're just backstage and you're sweating buckets. Your hands and your palms are just profusely sweating so much, and your tummy is twisting and turning. At this point right now, you just wish that the floor is just going to swallow you up because you just don't want to face the world outside. Now combine all of these things, multiply it by times 10 intensity, and that is exactly how an anxiety attack feels like. In 2016, I had an anxiety attack, and it was the scariest moment of my life. I was in New York, and it was one day that I was enjoying the hustle and bustle of Times Square, and the very next day, I woke up with this overwhelming, paralyzing sense of worry and fear, and I could not breathe. But what's even scarier than that was to go to the doctor and have the doctor tell you that you're fine, there's nothing wrong with you. When I heard that, I was in disbelief. It did take the doctor a little while to suggest that I might be having an anxiety attack. And at that point of time, I've been a coach and a therapist for about 6 years. And I would have thought that I would have seen the symptoms a lot sooner. But there I was, sitting on a plastic chair in a doctor's office all the way in incredible New York, having a total meltdown. And the past 3 years have been a journey of healing and self reflection. And I've come to realize that there are certain behaviors and beliefs that can potentially lead a person to constantly feel anxious. And one of the major factors is this: the need to be perfect at all times. I don't know if you're one of those people that, when you go to a date and you mentally whip out this checklist of the perfect man or the perfect woman. She must love how to cook. She must love Marvel comics. She must allow me to watch soccer every Friday with my friends. Or he must be funny and spontaneous. He must always open the door for me. And then I met my fiance and I realized that a checklist never works. The pursuit of perfectionism is often a projection of our own insecurity. And a big part of that comes from a fear of making mistakes. We want to be in control of everything, of every outcome in our lives, so that no mistake is made. I remember in 2013, my fiance, then my boyfriend, and I decided to go for a vacation in Italy. And 3 weeks leading up to that vacation into Italy, I spent all my time researching every single thing that I could research on: the tickets, the schedule, the museums. I would pre purchase everything. I would spend all my time researching because I wanted the itinerary to be absolutely perfect. That every single second that we spend in Italy is spent watching something, an opera, or going to a museum, or seeing something that is meaningful. And I remembered that the day of the trip came, and I was just exhausted. I felt completely burned out. And I remembered that throughout the trip, I thought I would have enjoyed this a lot better. And then fast forward to just last year in 2018, we decided to go to Italy again. But this time, we decided to go just 16 hours before the flight was going to depart. So it was going to be the most spontaneous trip that we were going to take. And there was no time for research, no time for an itinerary. And we just went. I mean, I didn't even have proper shoes and clothes to go there. And so we just went. But it was the most amazing trip that I've ever taken in my life because we were present. We were living every single moment. We were savoring every single day. You see, perfectionism is a belief, And it's a very limiting one because it limits you to only focus on who you should be and what you should have rather than helping you discover the power from being who you already are and what you already have. Brene Brown said this best. She said, perfectionism is a self destructive and addictive belief system that fuels this primary thought. If I look perfect and do everything perfectly, I can avoid or minimize the painful feelings of shame, judgment, and blame. I don't know if you've ever tried to catch or hold water, whether it's through a running tap or in the river or the pool. Have you ever tried to grab water? You realize that the more you try to grab or catch water, you can't really contain any water in your hands. But if you only take a deep breath, relax, and start to let go, you'll see that there is so much more water that can be contained in your palms. Right in the middle of the word anxiety is the letter I. I need it to be done this way. I need it to happen by this time. I need to get promoted by this month. It's a big fixation on I. And do you know what's another word that has the letter I in the middle? It's your beliefs. A couple of years ago, I got to attend this pop-up sensory experience organized by Dialogue in the Dark, which was led by blind people. And what happened was that they wanted us to understand how it's like living a life without sight. And so we were brought into this big space, and it was dark everywhere. And in this space, there were different stations. And these stations were simulation of real life activities. So there was a station where we were simulating how to cross a street, and there was another station that we were supposed to form a straight line to queue up to buy food. And I remember that the last station was a simulation of a tea party. And a couple of us were brought to sit down at this table, and we were told that at the side of this table was a tray. And on this tray, there is a jug of water, a jug of coffee, and a jug of tea. And so I ordered tea, and a couple of us also ordered tea. And we were sitting there and chatting and sipping our tea, and we were even commented that, wow, this tea is just extra delicious, right? Because we can't see it. It's like as though the loss of our sense of sight just heightened our taste buds. And then a couple of moments later, they turned on the lights. And I looked down at my cup. And I was shocked. Because this entire time that I thought I was drinking tea, I was actually only drinking water. So how did I think that I was drinking tea the entire time? I mean, I even tasted tea. And it was in this moment that I realized how important our beliefs are. Our beliefs shape our outer world. It shapes our entire reality. Our beliefs are what we hold to be personally true to us. And because of that, our beliefs are subjective. What is true to me may not necessarily be true to you. Some people might believe that marriage should be a monogamy, and some people believe that marriage should be polygamous. It is true to whoever holds it to be true. Now, one thing about beliefs is that not all the beliefs that we are holding on to right now are helping us. Because sometimes some of our beliefs are limiting us. Beliefs such as, I can never be fit and healthy because I grew up in a household of overweight people. The belief that you don't deserve praise and compliments because your mother has always told you that you're not smart enough. These beliefs are lies. The beliefs that don't serve you. They lie about your true capability. They lie about your true potential. They lie about your true power. And they make you anxious about who you really are. They make us doubt ourselves. They make us doubt our identity on this earth. So are the beliefs that we are holding on to right now, are they helping us or are they lying to us? Another factor that can contribute and that can lead a person to potentially always be in an anxious state is the obsession of self love. And I know that in this day and age, we always talk about self love and how we should always love ourselves more. But what are the implications when we do too much self love? When the only people that we are loving and caring for is ourselves. Glenn Harrison, a psychiatrist, wrote a book called The Ego Trip. And in this book, he talked about our generation's obsession on self love and self esteem. And he questioned if this has indeed helped our society. I mean, just go to any bookstore and go to the self help section, and you will find that 95% of the books there is aimed to helping you raise your self-esteem, to helping you love yourself more, because that's the only reason why you can't hold down that job, why you can't be in a good stable relationship, why you're not a good parent. Because that's the only answer, right? But I question, is self-love really the answer to our question of personal significance and worth? Is it? It's a question that I want to throw out there. Because I've come to realize the negative impact of this. I mean, we first think that we need more love because we don't think we have enough love in the first place, right? And then we go into this negative spiral where we don't have enough love because we don't think we're smart enough, because we don't think we're good enough, and then it just goes round and round and round. And evolutionary theories calls this the scarcity mindset. And they say that our brains instinctively go to this scarcity mindset mode because many thousands of years ago, our caveman ancestors used to live in very dangerous conditions, right? And it's having this mindset that has kept the preservation of the human species. But look, a wild beast is not going to barge in through these doors any minute. We don't need to time ourselves or when we need to go and forage for vegetation and food because the hyenas are going to come out to get us when the sun sets. I mean, the only thing that we will be timing ourselves after this is when can we go to the pub next door because it's buy one, free one on their happy hour. Let's be real. We're living in a very different world right now. We have an abundance of everything. Our cup is not just full, it is overflowing. We have so much more than we need and that we ever want. And the only way that we can see this, believe this, and really know this is when we start contributing in other people's lives. It's when we start sowing the seeds into another person's life. In the middle of the word anxiety is the letter I. And when you remove I and the fixation on me, myself, and I, anxiety is no longer a word. It no longer exists. You know, since the anxiety attack in 2016, I've come to realize that there are so many people who is going through anxiety or who has had anxiety. And the reason I want to share this message is not because I have the cure to it, but it's to let these people know that they are not alone, that you are not alone. Millions of people have anxiety. I mean, just in the US alone, 40 million people are diagnosed with having anxiety issues every single year. And for the rest of you, maybe you have a friend or a brother or a sister, a son, a daughter, or maybe even a partner who is going through anxiety right now. And I just want you to know that the best thing that you can do for them is to just be there and offer your encouragement. Anxiety gave me a chance to redefine myself because, when everything was broken and you have nothing else, well, that's a clean blank slate. And with this state, I could consciously pick up the pieces that I really want to have in my life. And I've never been clearer about who I am and the purpose that I have on this earth. Turn that fixation of being perfect to a fascination of living your purpose. Have the courage to throw away and discard any limiting beliefs and take on more lifting beliefs. And trust me, when you can take the obsession of self love and turn it into a quest of serving love, you're going to realize just how much stronger you really are and that you can overcome this anxiety. I no longer find myself in anxiety. I'm in faith. I'm in bliss. I'm in happiness. And I live in gratitude each and every single day. Thank you.